Welcome to Living Life as a Visual Thinker. I'm Bette Fetter, and I want to share what it means to be a visual thinker. We'll find out how it affects us at school and on the job, and we'll share success stories from visual thinkers, young and old. So, I wrote this book. Took me forever, but the reason I wrote Being Visual, and I published it in 2012, but the reason I wrote it was I thought we've got to keep talking about the value of art. And I wasn't quite sure what the message was going to be because it's kind of all been said, but I thought, let's add to that voice, the conversation. But when I did the research for Being Visual, what struck me, obviously it was just stunning to me, was all the information about visual learners. I had no idea. Actually, Matt, in the middle of my working on this, Matt was at college, and one of his favorite courses was art history. And I remember I said, "Oh, honey, are you like sucking up? Are you just telling me that?" He said, "Mom, I'm a visual learner, and when I study, there are pictures that go with the information." Oh. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But he's the one that told me, "Mom, I'm a visual learner." And it's like, dang, that stuff keeps coming up all over the place. So the more I dug into it and read, it was stunning. And at the same time as all the good things about being a visual learner, I'm so struck by the tough things, the sad things of being so unappreciated as a visual learner. For me, when in learning, I have some quotes to read. I'm not really waving these papers around, don't mean to be. With visual learners, when I read about it, I felt like I understood myself for the first time ever. And visual learners are considered to be late bloomers. Okay, I qualify. And there's such a stigma, and I totally believe we're late bloomers because we have to survive school, and no one is telling us our value. No one is telling us who we are, or encouraging us, or helping us navigate who we're going to become. There's you're in this space. Like, it took me forever to get through school. I probably have enough credits for like 9 degrees, and but I didn't know, and I had certainly had no career path, but then it's okay, God certainly had a plan for me. But there's such a place with visual learners it's heartbreaking, because at the same time I realize my strongest qualities and my gifts and the things that I am good at, which I finally figured out when I was about 60, are things that are coming from the right side of my brain. And maybe had somebody told me a lot younger that this is what I'm good at and this is why, maybe I could have embraced that in a little bit different way, versus most people, you go around kind of apologizing or thinking a lot about what you're not, versus this is what you are and this is what you're good at. So I have a couple of emails I wanted to read, kind of a sampling, that once the book went out, we had some feedback, and I wanted you to hear this, and it's going to connect. So this email I got: "Hi Betty, I was online checking out young Rembrandts for my 6-year-old granddaughter, and lo and behold, I kept reading and ended up downloading iTunes. I listened to your first podcast. Unbelievable. I am 62 years old. I have wondered my whole life what was wrong with me. And thanks to you, I am finally understanding it. And hopefully with your book, I will get better. This bothered me so much, I had tests done to see if I had ADD. The tests did conclude that I have it, so I now take Ritalin every day. Sad, isn't it? I'm making lemonade out of lemons, as they say, or the cards that life dealt me. LOL. She just have humor about this. I did cry a while ago. I get depressed thinking back about different things, about taking tests. Well, you know all about what I'm going through. I took the test to become an ophthalmic assistant at 3 different times, and failed it each time. They were taken in different years. I had worked in that field for 10 years, but I needed to get my certification. I couldn't read fast enough to complete the test. I believe they label it as a learning disability now. I only wish I could have concentrated and focused better while I was in school so I could read better and comprehend what I was reading, even now. I'm having a really good pity party, aren't I? LOL. If only your work had been around when I was in grade school. But I'm so happy I found your podcast. I will listen to more later today. Thanks very much for your time. Isn't that sad?
It's sad but happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope is a good thing. Now this one actually came from my brother. I have 4 brothers and a sister. My brother, we're very opposite. We're the closest in age, but oh my gosh, I'm so right brain. He is completely left brain and has no notion there's anything else in the universe. And he has 3 kids. His oldest and his youngest are just like him. His middle child has always been, what is wrong with Alex? And now, everyone agrees, Alex is the most delightful, wonderful, always has been kid, but they thought it's lucky he graduated high school, grade school, anything. And literally the entire family is like, Alex is now 20, 22, and it's, what is wrong with Alex? So at some point I took Alex aside once I finished the book and I talked to Alex about who he is. So, on my brother, I got your book at home and have read most of it. This is from a guy who rarely reads anything that you can't fold in half. It was great. More importantly, the book could have been titled Alex's Song. He mentioned he got it from you and said, Dad, I read it, which that's a miracle. I'm not really sure he did because I'm not sure Alex reads either, but it's me. You have to read it to understand me. He and I have struggled at times in our relationship because his mom is like him and gets him, but I keep trying to fit him in the Joe and Tina box. I have a lot of guilt over the hammer punishment approach I used with him when the system may have failed him worse than he failed. But we're making great strides in getting closer as a direct result of this insight. So she goes on, about another family. I shared your PR release with my leadership team and some things like that. I'm in Baltimore tonight sending this email, and while I'm at dinner, I got the following text from the president of our company. Dennis, I just got your sister's book in the mail. I've been reading it at my son's practice, and wow, she's pegged my son. I found myself tearing up as I read her describe how these kids are so misunderstood in the classroom. It's cool to see inside my right brainer, especially because I'm a left brainer who sailed through school. I remember the head of his school last fall said, it's about gonna kill you to get him through school, but there's no need to worry, that boy is going places. And I'm just getting to understand what he's talking about. So, again, hope, but the schools. So there was another mother from India who wrote me on and off, and they wanted to have her younger son tested because they thought he might be a visual learner. She was asking what I thought, and I said, get tested, find out what they think. So we went back and forth a few times, and yes, he's a visual learner, and yes, and he had some suggestions, and they did all this, and she wrote me back about his writing or whatever. But then she wrote this. So this is kind of like an update of where she's at. My daughter has always been a scholar badge holder, so she's from India, so there's a few different terms, in her batch. Although I don't compare both of them, I still feel depressed down in my heart when I think of Dev, although he's a sweet child who wins everybody's hearts. I don't want anybody to be depressed because we're a visual learner, or like they got a kid who is less than. And obviously, I have a tremendous passion to still reach these kids. I want to make tools for them. I want to talk to the parents about who their kids are and how do we make tools, make videos, make whatever it is that would make learning easier for them. But what does it have to do with young Rembrandts? Most of the kids in your classrooms are visual learners. If you like art, you like Legos, you like building, you like creating, you like making things, there's a pretty good indicator that you're a visual learner. Now, not all visual learners are going to struggle as much. I mean, I did great in school, but I sure as hell never took AP chemistry or anything either. I thought chemistry alone was going to kill me. But depending on the level of left and right you have, you can do great in school being a visual learner if you have a good amount of your left. But for kids who are really, really, really right brain, they're going to struggle. And again, these are the kids in the young Rembrandt classroom, some of them. So why is it so important? I want visual kids to love art so much that they have such a thing in them that they can't not do it. Because pretty soon school's not going to have it anymore. It's not going to be an option, and they better get on the career track for college, and they better take their foreign language and none of this nonsense. And then when you go to college, you better dig the job and do that thing that everybody tells you you're supposed to do. But yet, when you're a visual learner, you have all these other things to offer, and we're missing out on that as a society and as individuals. I want these young kids to be so sure that they love art and they have to have art that they stay doing it. And they're not going to all grow up to be graphic artists, and they're not going to go into, and it could be they've got to do music, they've got to create, they've got to build, whatever it is they've got to do, but they know that they love it so much. You know, like for me, I have a degree in art. I don't know what the hell I was going to do with that, but I couldn't not do art. But I know that at the same time, art is what saved me. And like when I was a senior, I took art, I took band, I was in the choir, I was in the drama club, I was the president of the drama club. So, you know, I found a way that I had to have whatever kind of art I could have. But that's also, again, what saved me. But it's also what my gift is. And not because I'm artistic, it's the way the right side of the brain works. It's the creative, it's the relationship part of your brain. It's the culture part of the brain. It's the creative part of the brain. It's the ideas, it's the connecting, it's the innovation. That's what's in the right side of the brain. So if we raise an entire generation that learn to shut it off, we got a real problem as a culture. We want these kids to be in class, to get to as many kids as we can, because we want them to know who they are and to never lose who they are. So I really thank you for what you're doing. Whew. And that we all have such a heart for kids, for art, but more importantly, for raising these whole children that know who they are and feel good about who they are. So, thank you.